Hey SEOs and content marketers, say goodbye to crazy spreadsheet mashups and experience unprecedented connectivity between your SEO planning and reporting data. Introducing Audience Key, technology for keyword mapping, content brief automation, and rank tracking that form an SEO strategy system providing unparalleled feedback loops between planning, reporting, and optimization activities. Put your time and energy into strategy, not data upkeep. Visit audiencekey.com and apply for a free trial today. Hey everyone, welcome to Webcology on WMR.fm. It's the 17th of April, 2025. This is Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media and Christine Schackinger from Sites Without Walls. Howdy, Christine.
Hello, how are you today?
I am okay. It's been a incredibly busy week. Well, you ever have those weeks or series of weeks where almost every working minute is packed with working stuff?
Yes, been like that for about a year.
Well, it's been 3 of those weeks for me in 1 week. Um, uh, uh, just started a massive new contract. Got my regular other contracts that I'm still running. There's an election happening in Canada, and I'm very, very politically involved with one of the political parties up here. So I'm very involved in the election, and it's just nonstop thing after thing after thing after thing. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
same.
that's how I am. I'm exhausted.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm a bit tired too because I drove to LA for a nonprofit I'm working with who had an interview with a well-known, not like, extremely well-known comedian, but a pretty well-known comedian in LA. And it was like a 4 or 5 hour drive in. I was leaving that night and hit what we call the Cajun, or no, like I can't say it right now. Anyways, it's called the something pass, Cahoon Pass, and I hit fog soup. I've never seen it in my entire life. I lived on the East Coast and drove through a lot of weather in my life, but it was fog that was in sheets like snow, without much moisture, but you couldn't see more than 30 feet in front of your car, and there's not a single light on the road. So I spent my night at a gas station until the sun came up. So I got in yesterday around noon. So it was very, very tired myself. So, but it was a good day.
Well, you
Fulfilling
know
went
what? I
well.
did not spend my night in a gas station, so I think I've had a better
Yeah.
week than you've had.
I was like,
Um,
I've never seen fog that goes in sheets with the wind. Like
no,
that's
that's
never
phenomenal.
happened.
That's
Yes,
amazing.
and reflective like a blizzard. And then the scary thing was all the 18 wheelers are, they slowed down, but they're still doing 60 miles an hour down a very large incline. So I was like, yeah, light. Oh, gas
Well,
station. Oh, can I stay the night here? They're like, sure. Okay, that's where I'm sleeping.
yeah, commerce does not stop for dense fog, and truckers' time is
Oh,
money, eh?
exactly.
Okay, speaking of time is money, the time that we spend on the air costs money, and that money is provided by our wonderful sponsors, Audience Key and Wix Studio. A big, big shout out to both. Okay, it's been a busy week, as we said. All the politics aside, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the realm of tech and politics, but none of it was none of it was new out of the ordinary. It's almost like this dystopia has become normalized after what, like less than
It was
eight
scary.
weeks?
Yeah, it's kind of scary, but yeah, there was one change in the way tariffs are applied to technology. So there's a lot of tech items that were taken out of the tariffs, or not completely. They're still at 20% out of China. I believe it is 20%. But then there's parts of those components that are still at 145%. And there was one interesting story I did not put in the good. Tell you real quick. Musk took a bit of a hit because not only now are his vehicles being taxed coming into the United States at 145%, something like that. They are being taxed in China at 125% on the tariffs there. Then everything that you have to put into the car and build the car with. So quite an interesting conundrum for Tesla, because now their only really major market is his car is prohibitively expensive. Because China apparently builds a very good electric car that's available there and around other parts of the world, not the United States. Well, it is available here, but we put tariffs on it to maintain our. That's when tariffs are good, to maintain our auto market. But they can sell for $6,000 in time in China. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to Tesla after that. But that was an interesting news story of the week to me for tariffs.
Well,
But everything else is just the same old, same old. It changes every day. It
well,
never
yeah,
stabilizes. Yeah.
and that's the problem with having a weekly podcast and reporting on things like Trump's tariffs. There's no plan. They've changed day to day to day. They'll make a mega announcement one day, and 2 days later, somebody has explained to the president why this is going to tank this, that, or whatever. And so he finds some carve out or relents on the tariffs, or somebody explains to him that he's crashing the entire world economy, including the American economy, and he
Right.
just declares a 90-day pause,
Well, they
or
did.
lowers them to 10% or whatever the State Department of Treasury says to paper over the sheer incompetence of this all.
Yeah, they've been doing some local, not local, I should say, individual interviews with business owners. So one was interesting today. It's not tech related, but it's a real quick one. So I'll use this example. She makes like fine clothing and bags, and the best people to make the bags in the world are in Italy. And then the best places for her fabric are in was Spain, I believe. And then the best place for something else she makes is the United States. So she has all sorts of different components, to make to make what she sells. And unfortunately, now it's all being taxed at such rates that for each product, she's now having to charge, and she says this is obviously not sustainable. You'd have to charge at least 150 to 200% more per product. And these are already high end products, so they're not cheap, right? So, and this is technology related. Timu and Shine, or Sheen, is it Sheen or Shine? That I don't buy from because I'm always worried like what materials did they use to make those things? But they do have some cool looking stuff. Yeah, sometimes I get sucked into an ad and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. Oh no, it's Timu. But for a lot of people who do buy from Timu and Shine or Sheen in the
Shine.
United States, they have a small package exclusion on tariffs or did. And that meant that if their package was under a certain size and weight, that they never had to pay a tariff, even other tariffs besides these, regular tariffs. So that's why they could sell their goods so cheap in the United States, is because they weren't paying that tariff on top of the regular costs like you would for a larger item or other companies have to do when their stuff comes in the US before the craziness. But now, because they have removed that and added a 20% tariff, they will have
All
to
goods are
charge,
20% more.
well, no more than that because they're original tariffs too, right? Like there's China and US often have a lot of tariffs going back
Oh,
and
there's
forth.
the original tariff that was exempt because of weight. So
Yeah.
that's applied. And then there's the
Yeah.
extra, what, 125% is it at today? Tariff applied to a Chinese good, 140%?
45%, yeah. And people
Oh,
have to remember
fucks.
that's on the overall product. So if you are getting materials from other places to make the product, while let's say the iPhone may have gotten an exemption, except for the 20%, which he calls the fentanyl tax tariff, um, you still have tariffs on the items making the product that
Yep.
may not be excluded. So your high-end chip, maybe instead of $25, maybe $75 now. So prices still are going to go up on the items because not only do they have the 145% tariff, they have the others as well. So
So,
on tech items are not excluded. They got out of the 145% tariff, but items that go into the tech item do not.
so years
So
ago, a bunch of people who were really smart got into the drop shipping business and internet marketing. All they had to do was get people to want to buy a widget, and they could do it using Google, using eBay, using Amazon, and whatever new venue or marketing site has come along. And really, they're the order taker. They've made a business out of moving orders from you want something, you order through this company, they order it from China, it goes straight to your door. Those companies have been decimated. They cannot survive any longer. It's
yeah,
thousands, hundreds of thousands of American entrepreneurs who might seem like a lazy way to make money, but they actually hooked people up with stuff they wanted and facilitated the purchase somehow. They became importers of a
and
sort.
let's put it this way. Being an affiliate marketer is very, very difficult. Like you and
Yeah,
I could do it, but we don't because
but it's
we
very hard
require
work.
very, very hard work on top of our regular work. It would consume every hour of our waking day. So they do. They do bring attention to products people might not be aware of because they are able to market them well through their affiliate
Yeah.
sites.
Well, a lot of those businesses are literally out of business
Yeah, yeah,
as
and
collateral damage to bring industry back to America, where incidentally they'd probably any worker would probably earn less money than the affiliate marketer was earning.
yeah, and I have to say, the Chinese videos mocking us are pretty accurate when it comes to that. The
They are
uh,
not. You are not allowed to eat a Big Mac on the assembly line. It gets
that's
grease in the
true.
works. That's
That's true.
wildly inaccurate. You can
This
eat
is
French
true.
fries as long as there's not ketchup, but not a Big Mac.
So if anyone hasn't seen the Chinese videos mocking us, if you're a self-aware American, you'll probably find them pretty humorous because there is a lot of truth in there. But the jobs that they show in those videos are quite interesting because they didn't make those jobs up out of thin air. The head of the administration's uh, advisories, I don't know exactly what to call him, but he's the one in charge of like this policy, right? And selling this policy to the American people. And one of the things he said in an interview was that people would come back to their these jobs, like screwing in 2-inch screws or 2 millimeter screws into iPhones because he said that they're going to come back and we're going to give the jobs to robots. And the interviewer was like, but if you're bringing the jobs back or going through all this pain for these jobs, what do people do if the robots are doing the jobs? He's like, well, the jobs robots can't do, like screwing in 2 millimeter screws in iPhones. So, because that's the job everybody wants. So when you see the videos from China, if you come across them, they're actually quite humorous.
Well,
You have to give game where game exists, and they did a good job on this.
all I can say to that is, and this goes for all Westerners, kind of who've been pushed into this by a delusional American regime. Welcome to the real world. This is how the rest of the world lived, and we didn't live like that because we, created extremely developed economies. Devolution isn't the path to success. Devolution has never been the path to success. Okay, that all of that said, um, if you have been okay, I'm gonna jump into a couple of quick, whole bunch of tech stories. Actually, there's some fun stories coming up too. By the way, if you're looking at product uh, a product snippet, an image carousel in Google search results, and you notice the first result is missing, you can hit reset all you want. The first result, the first image is still likely going to be missing in the
Yeah,
carousel because there's a bug happening. Google's got a bug.
Google has a bug.
That's what I heard.
We never report on bugs. Like,
Indeed.
what's kind of refreshing? I had to double check. This wasn't Google business.
Indeed, yeah, it's not the Google business division, it's just the business of Google. So yeah, Google product snippets in the image carousel, the first image is probably missing. And if you see it missing, it's not you, it's them.
Yes.
Google has released new guidance around I love this metric. Google Ads ad strength. The
Has it been going to the gym?
well, no, they've been going to the Rand Fishkin Name a New Product school of naming new products. Ad strength. The
That's
document will
great.
help you improve your overall strength in Google's ads. Um, apparently, as the document says, ad strength is a real-time feedback tool to guide you on the best practices for optimal asset group setup to maximize performance across all inventory. Ad strength. I
Yes.
love that.
AdStrength is a real-time feedback tool to guide you on the best practices.
So, folks, in the BBC world, when somebody comes to you and asks you about ad strength in the future, this for real. It's
Yeah,
not it's not like domain authority. This is for real.
but I have to say what's kind of nice about it is I know people in ads and we always are very upfront. We don't work with ads.
Ad
But
strength.
yeah,
I'm just gonna do
back
this
but back
all
then,
episode.
like if this is 2010 and I said, Jim, what's the answer to this with Google? And you would probably be like, I don't know. Gary might have said this or John might have said that. Let me go look it up. But now you have Google documentation. where they tell you very explicitly about a lot of information about a lot of things. Like if you need to know about structured data, they tell you everything. And now they have really nice, do write this like this, don't write it like that. So this looks like for the ad people who have been suffering in a black box for quite a bit of time with all the changes Google has made, looks like they're starting to add to their documentation similarly as the SEO documentation has been added, and then also with walkthroughs that like, hey, are you done with that? Let's check this. So it's like a really good thing for the ad people. I know they've been working in the dark for quite a while, and it's been a big point of frustration and pain.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Google, how to say this? Google is getting much more ad centric. Google Analytics 4 and a lot of the changes that are happening at Search Console are all about improving paid ad performance. Um,
What?
and and it's not
Google?
like you can't use that information in organic. And in fact, much of that information is completely invaluable in diagnosing, predicting, or suggesting solutions to problems in the organic world. But let's face it, their focus is on paid. So, I'm glad that they're doing this. And I'm glad that they're coming up with new terms to name their metrics. And I'm glad that one of those new terms is ad strength, because God, that's amazing. I love that. Why don't we
Ad
have stuff
strength.
like that in organic?
Well, we have made up metrics that say things like that, but not real ones.
I know, but Google doesn't give us like really cool names. We get
Oh,
like source medium.
they took away all our fun stuff. We used to
Yeah,
name
we
the
get we get
updates with
not
all sorts of
set.
fun things. Yeah, and we used to get like updates named like Panda and Pigeon and Florida. Now it's like update, core update 5102.
And nothing like ad strength.
No.
Okay, so I hate to break this to you. Like, if you're going to go like look at your like dwarf porn and stuff over at 4chan, you might not be
God.
able to find it so much. And if you do find it, that you found it will be on record. Because 4chan got hacked good and bad.
Yes,
Um,
but wait. Who did it get hacked by?
well, a splinter site of 4chan. So 4chan is like all the Uber losers of the web getting together and doing Uber loser stuff in an Uber loser place that they call 4chan. And
I'm very
4chan is
impressed.
actually
You
a
said
very powerful community of Uber losers.
yeah, you said Uber loser like 3 times in a row, and
I just
I'm
can't
impressed.
emphasize it enough. Um, so some Uber losers got sick of those other Uber losers and went off and made their own Uber loser place called the Soy Jack Party.
Which is
No,
called the what?
Soy Jack Party, also known to their friends as Shardy.
Yes.
So
Oh my
these
God.
guys, the
Okay.
Shartistas, if you will, they claim to be behind a security breach at 4chan that, get this, hosted usernames, emails, basically identities of people with edus and .gov addresses.
Well, not just, I mean, but yes, there's a
Well,
mix
lots
there.
of people, but I love the edus and .gov addresses. I mean, this is if you've never been to 4chan, and Christine, I don't know I've been to 4chan. I used to
Yeah.
chase Nazis through 4chan or research,
If you
and
if you study the right, you definitely have been on 4chan. Plus, there's a
there
lot of stuff that happened with Bannon and 4chan. So,
it's
yes.
crazy in there. It's awful. Some of the channels
Oh
that they have
yeah.
or used to have in there.
We should caution anybody who wants to go there to like check it out that there is a lot of very um what would you say, Jim? I mean, it's not even X-rated.
Unscrupulous,
No, it's more than that though.
bad
There's a lot of
stuff.
yeah. There's stuff that like borderline you could get arrested for on there. So
Oh,
if
and
you
you're
do
not
go
leaving.
there,
You're not leaving uninfected.
no. And people don't know what 4chan is. 4chan is a bulletin board that says they're free speech. So you can say anything literally you want, which means a lot of people do. And a lot of the Gamergate, Steve Bannon organized people out of 4chan for Gamergate. That's when they attacked a bunch of
Mhm.
women who were in the gaming industry, and it was very, very horrific for the women. They even had like death threats and stuff. He also organized the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville. This is from his own mouth. I'm not supposing anything. To go to Charlottesville for the torch rally there.
Steve
So
Steve Bannon is one of the architects of American fascism. That's
yes, yeah,
you
he
can
is.
you can sum
There's
up his
yeah.
resume that way.
Well, I think he'd actually say that himself. I don't think he would deny it. So anyway, so the Splinter group broke off because they were banned. They were banned on 4chan, which
Too
takes a
bad for
lot.
4chan.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that takes a lot. So anyway, so they created this hack. Now the hack has not been verified completely, like and that they did it. Like the hack has been verified, but that they
Okay.
did it. But they are claiming responsibility. But the fact that they call themselves the Shardies just it's
If you
just
know what, if
perfect for
these
right
goofs,
now.
honest to goodness, with so much going on in the world, if these goofs want to eat each other, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah, please do. Please,
They
please
want to
do.
shard all over each other. As long as I'm upwind of it, I'm all good. I'm all good.
And I will say, just for some people, there are some things on 4chan that are not like horrifically awfully bad or anything like that. It's just most of it is horrifically awfully bad.
Indeed. Okay, so surprise, surprise, just in case anybody was wondering, it's been confirmed and reconfirmed by this time by a federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, that Google does in fact hold an illegal monopoly in ad sales. Now,
Yes.
you might have heard this somewhere before.
Maybe. There's so
I'm going to
many. We can't even
suggest,
keep them straight. We need a tracker.
well,
We
I'm
need
going
a
to
Google
suggest that
Monopoly
Google
tracker.
isn't just a monopoly anymore. Google's a mega monopoly, megalopoly. It's a business that has several divisions that themselves are monopolies in their own field.
Yeah.
Google owns and pushes around traffic and organic search. Google owns a massive chunk of the display ad delivery networks in the world, mostly through DoubleClick. Google owns PPC advertising. I mean, like, there's other alternatives, but Google pretty much owns the space and uses its weight to make survival difficult for any rivals. Um, and as it turns out, um, in the paid ad space, Google has again been called a monopoly. Um, there's what is this, a fourth unique case? There's two in California, one in Virginia, and at least one in the EU right now.
Yeah, there's really I'm serious. For our own sake, you and I should create a tracker because there's so many cases and all antitrust and all some in the United States, some in the EU, some in just the UK. They're all over the world with antitrust stuff and losing. Like
Well,
you
and
and I
here's the thing. Oh,
grew up
sorry.
with Google. Google didn't used to lose. They had the biggest lobby in the United States, but they lose now all the time. So there's a lot of serious ramifications coming for Google because there's enough cases here that if one judge doesn't get them, another one's going to get them. So
Well, and here's the big question. If one judge gets them and another judge gets them and both of them need remedy, do they communicate with each other before assigning a penalty or assigning some form of remedy? If does Google get partially broken up in the EU but remain intact in America? Like does it get messed over in Virginia, but it's like held intact in California? What happens next? It's I don't know if there's
yeah,
any precedent in law for this.
I don't think so. And the yeah, because the things that came down on like Bell
That's the
back in the
closest
day
you're going to
were
get.
yeah, because it was one, but it was one big company hammer. Also, this is basically on the display advertising unit where the remedy might be taken. Generates about 8 billion a quarter. This is from the Washington Post, roughly 10% of its total revenue. It's hard to say. I don't think the judges talk to each other though. So they're going to have to deal with whatever the judges do if they overlap or if they're inconsistent. Although I'm sure a judge will look at another order if it's received beforehand. So yeah. So anyway, Google's got another loss in the antitrust, and this time it will affect display advertising.
In the meantime, there's a citizens lawsuit, a citizens class action. This time it's for a piddly amount of, say, £5 billion sterling in a UK class action over Google search dominance in advertising. Wouldn't you know it? This is a smaller case. It's localized in the UK, but it's just another example of the courts seeing the how to say this, the 800-pound gorilla type business practices That's a poor description, isn't it? Um, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just Google is so big that you must use its services if you want any visibility whatsoever. And because it's so big, it makes it hard for Yahoo to have cracked the market, or for Bing to crack the market, or for some small company you never heard of before, but who made a better mousetrap. They can't crack the market.
Yeah, Google has been, according, this is a very short article, SE Roundtable. Google's been leveraging its dominance in the general search and search advertising market to overcharge advertisers. Class action is about holding Google accountable for its unlawful practices and seeking compensation on behalf of the advertisers. So it's also about the overcharging is a big part. Google called the case. Google's getting a little spicy these days. Remember the days like Google get a case like this and be like, well, we're doing our best and we're trying to work it out. No, Google called the case yet another speculative and opportunistic case. We argue against it vigorously. Consumers and advertisers use Google because it's helpful, not because there's no alternatives, a spokesperson told CNBC.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That is also correct. Both sides, and this is what drives you nuts. Google is except for the people we've never heard of, because Google made it impossible for them to even get started up. Google is the better mousetrap. There's not a more helpful. It's the tool. It's the one that everyone uses.
Oh,
Everyone's used it for a generation.
if there was one, we wouldn't know about
Well,
it.
indeed, there may be a better mousetrap out there,
Yeah.
but that's been squashed or suppressed, or made unviable by the market, as Google has created the market.
Yeah.
But it's still like Google is still. I have massive problems with Google, and I still use it as my dominant search engine. That's not to say I don't use Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, or other search engines, but come on, it's Google, right? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, and in this case, the remedy is quite easy. Nick them for $5 billion. Um, in
Yeah.
the other antitrust cases, the remedy is not so easy, because if you make Google give up this part of its business, or sever this part of the ad division, what does that do to the entire over the big meta machine that's, a whole bunch of gears grinding together?
Exactly. 100%.
Okay, speaking of people who learned this one the hard way. So, um,
Your
Twixter
favorite,
X,
your favorite topic. Your
I hate
favorite
Twixter.
topic.
God, I hate Twixter. So they're getting rid of DMs, or they're rebranding DMs and changing the experience. It's going to be X chat. Don't know what that means exactly. Don't know what that means for your chat histories, or I'm sorry, your DM histories. But you got a new product. It looks like there's a new product coming. Or
Yeah. So, go
sorry?
ahead. Sorry.
No,
I'm
no, go for
sorry.
it. Go for it, please, please.
I was just saying, I love Mashable's tagline for this story. X's DM feature is getting rebranded as XChat, which sounds a lot like adult messaging service.
It really. Oh
Yeah,
my God, I hadn't even thought of that. But yes, it does,
yeah,
doesn't it?
it does. Yeah. So as people who listen to the show know that he's trying to change Twitter into this massive app that does everything, and this is the first step. They said that the DM page will be deleted soon. It really concerns me because I have massive history in there in my DMs. So I mean, I can't access them anymore because it sounds like that's what they're saying. There's no easy way to download them, I guess, unless you download all of your data. But I don't know if they download your DMs. So it'll be after the show, we'll probably check into that. But it just looks like another messaging app. Do you need another messaging app, Jim? Because I really don't feel the need for another messaging app. I've already got WhatsApp, Signal, Messenger.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
no idea how many messaging apps I use currently.
yeah,
None of them
I
are
don't
related
need.
to Twixter, though.
No, and I don't find a need to communicate through messages on Twixter in a way that requires me to have a messaging service. But anyways, they're talking about removing. They don't say exactly when, but it will be soon. That comes from a programmer at Twitter, and this is more getting into like he's going to create this app that everyone's going to use and do finances on and all that. And actually, this makes me less likely to want to use. And I do. I'm one of the few that still uses it. It's still pretty popular though, and that's I have personal reasons that I need to use it. So yeah. So your DMs will be going away. We don't know if they're going away completely. So download your data in case they're in there.
Okay, so jumping to Google before jumping to Facebook. We get the Google story out of the way. Um, Elizabeth Reed, the head of Google Search, was interviewed by the Financial Times, and the interview was pretty revealing. Um, Google is getting a very good impression of user reaction to AI overviews. Google likes what it sees from how people are using the overviews. And from judging by the interview with Elizabeth Reed, if anybody thought that they might pull back because of mistakes or hallucinations or issues with AI overviews, that's not going to happen. And in fact, you're going to see a lot more of them. So I thought it was an interesting interview. In it, she did say straight up, don't use AI overviews on their own. Use them as a launching point, a starting point, something to explain the bigger issue to you, but then go to the websites to get actual, the actual information. That's how Google says they intend people to use AI overviews. Whether they really mean that or not is another question. You may find using AI overviews, you're getting links within the overview itself that go back to Google search, which can probably be quite frustrating, but at least those will lead you to some form of blue links. What did you think? What did you think of the piece?
Um, she had another piece a little while ago. I don't remember all the details where I think someone was leaked about it, but it just sounds like Sundar to me. It sounds like a bunch of marketing speak when I hear it. It's like, oh, we're getting you on a journey, and then we might give you an ad you like, and it's like, no, like I can't find anything. I don't care about all this stuff. Yeah, yes, 2 days ago, I was looking for something for half an hour. I finally just gave up. I literally couldn't get it to return the result. And I do search for a living. I should be able to get a result back on something that's a pretty simple query. So I don't know. It just sounds more like we're selling it to you. I know they say that their experiments show people love it, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I believe them anymore. I used to think
Well,
they at least spoke truth from the executive office. Now it sounds more like marketing speak when they talk. So
in my own experience, I'm mixed on it. I'm enjoying AI overviews when it gives me a quick and accurate answer. Um, I've caught AI overviews giving me inaccurate answers. Um, for some things, it's I'm not finding it, extremely convenient. For others, you actually really need to go do the research. If I'm going to
well
spend
here
money on it, I'm going to do the research.
yeah, I did the research, but here's okay. So we know in 2018, Sundar changed how they measure success there to queries, right? And so as he made search worse, something he and said he did, I'm sorry, he didn't say he did. The whole story showed that he did. Um, then they get more queries. So related to AI, she said, we're seeing some of the strongest growth in Google search and people issuing more queries. Besides seeing people ask more questions, they ask longer questions. Yeah, that could be interpreted as people like it, or it could be interpreted to my experience lately, which is I can't find anything. So I did a lot of searches the other day, a lot of queries, a lot of refinement, longer queries to add more refinement. Wasn't actually measuring my enjoyment of the AI. It was measuring my frustration and inability to find something. So I'm just saying the way they post these without real metrics behind it, they're not showing us that it could be interpreted either way. And they've chosen to interpret that people love AI search, but someone like me who's frustrated as heck with their search engine, that same scenario shows my dislike of what they've been doing to the search engine, not just AI search, just all over. So anyway, so but they keep saying that same thing. More queries means better search, but that's when Ragahavan took over for search and they sent, and I feel bad, I can't remember his name, the original guy, to the hinterlands of Google research back then.
Mhm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I
You
do.
know,
I don't have his name in front of me.
yeah. He said that queries are a really bad measurement because of what I just said, and he got sent away and Ragahavan took over. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm just going on because personally it just frustrates me. So
This next story, years ago, would have amused the heck out of me. Now that I'm older, just kind of ticks me off, but it's still really funny for what it's worth.
it
So
is what it.
if you're in an urban area and you're at an intersection, you'll probably hear beeping, some audible noise coming out of the streetlights, and that's for people with visual impairments, so they can know if it's safe to cross the intersection or not. That beeping comes out of a speaker. That speaker is hooked up to a network of some sort or another, and that network can be hacked, as proved by a bunch of pranksters in Seattle who um, somehow hacked the visual impaired boxes on Seattle intersection lights and projected an AI voice, an AI version of former Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos saying, "Hello, this is Jeff Bezos. This crosswalk is sponsored by Amazon Prime with an important message. Please don't tax the rich, otherwise all the billionaires will move to Florida too." Bezos moved to Florida last year, having sold his Seattle mansion for $63 million, which could easily buy you a hack of the um, Seattle crosswalk system, but probably didn't.
Well, I probably didn't.
And we know
um,
this because the Enable voice goes on to mention Luigi Magnone. Magnone? I don't never did know how to pronounce this fellow's last name, and if you do pronounce it, we're going to get kicked off of all the Disney podcast channels.
Well, he ended saying, "Wouldn't it be terrible if all the rich people left Seattle and got Luigi'd, and the normal people could afford to live here again?" This also happened with Musk. They did a Musk voice too. GeekWire actually explains how they likely hacked it. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want people to do it, only because it's funny, but it's not necessarily funny to the people who need the accessibility
Exactly.
signals to
And
clear
that's
the
the part that kind of
crosswalk.
pisses me off now that I'm older.
Yeah, yeah, but it is funny. If you get a chance, Google it, listen to it. It's pretty hilarious. So they have a bunch of different ones. The ones for
Who did you say explained how it was done?
eChoir.
GeekWire. So we wouldn't tell you how to do it because we would never suggest you do stuff like this in a time of peril in the nation. But GeekWire might.
Yeah, it doesn't give you all the specifics, but if you have skills, you would know what you're supposed to be doing, then down to the level of the individual box. But the ones from Musk were also pretty funny too. One of them ends like, "I have no friends," so it's like it's just they're good digs, and they're pretty funny, but they do hurt people who need accessibility assistance at crosswalks. So if you're gonna do it, make sure it's not somewhere where someone could get mowed over. So I'm being half-hearted about that. It is serious for those people.
So if only it was so easy for Google, but it's not. So Mark Zuckerberg went to court in Washington the other day. He went to court to try to defend Facebook over the allegations that Facebook spent billions, a fortune, to acquire Instagram and WhatsApp, basically to fend off potential competition. If they're getting too big, buy them, then they can't compete with you. So the district court, I'm sorry, the U.S. District Court building U.S. District Court is going to rule if the FTC in an FTC trial that could force Meta to unwind these acquisitions, to unwind like WhatsApp
Yeah.
and Instagram. We'll see. We'll see if the FTC forces Meta to restructure, to sell, or to divest, or if you really can buy a government.
They yeah, yeah, I guess I don't really need that. I mean, basically, they thought it was in the testimony. He says it's easier to buy than build. Basically, that's paraphrase. And that kind of was a smoking gun that got them. So we'll see what the remedy is. There's a lot of big tech facing a lot of very crucial antitrust cases right now, though.
Well, I mean, this is something. How this is how the tech world was built. Like I remember back in the days we used to joke about Microsoft. They would call once and they would only call once. If you made something really cool and Microsoft called you, you sell because they're only calling once. Otherwise, they're just going to replicate your product and outmarket you. And they did that time and time and time again. Google did this. Google would buy smaller competition just to prevent them from becoming bigger competition. Um, so, you know, of course Facebook is doing this. Who doesn't?
Yeah, but nowadays, because they become such behemoths, no one can emerge. It's like when you're in the forest and the trees don't leave space for sunlight for the seedlings below. They never become trees. So it's kind of
Oh,
what they're
those
what
poor
they're saying.
seedlings.
Did you know that the trees actually know when the seedlings are there somehow and they open their leaves just enough to get some sun down there?
Yep. Well, because
It's,
they're all
yeah,
connected to each other
yeah,
through a
very
through a
interesting.
network.
Yes, network of roots.
Okay. So speaking of things that are all connected to each other, we all work on the internet. The internet is every computer in the world connected to each other, basically. And if you get credentials in one place, you got credentials in every place. So there was a really, really, really scary, how to say, most hacks are social engineering and not technical engineering. So scammers are using Facebook back market groups to um, basically buy and sell rideshare and delivery account, delivery driver, like Uber Eats or something. Um,
It does seem to be limited in the story to Uber and then DoorDash for the ones that are being traded.
so they're selling the driver's credentials. So somebody could basically monkey in the middle your Uber drive and pose as your Uber driver. And you'd get into their
Yeah,
car, absolutely believing them because there's, of course, it's your Uber. Who else is supposed to be here?
yeah, and it's of course a safety concern, especially for women. All the rideshare apps offer you methods to be safe as a female when being picked up, including having only female drivers, by the way. But apparently they've been running, people are renting them out. So it's not all are hacks. Some people are just renting them. Like, hey, you can have my account for a week and here's a login. But the person may not be the person in the app. So what you probably want to do is make sure you check the photo of the person in your app. Make sure it looks like the person that showed up because I don't believe they can change that. So
So
this is from the Tech Transparency report, and it's been reported on CNN. But it is dangerous for you. Less dangerous with DoorDash because you generally don't interact with the DoorDash person, but definitely more dangerous for Uber rides.
okay, two more Facebook stories.
Jim is really upset about all these Facebook stories
I'm
today, aren't you,
not
Jim?
upset about them. I just don't like. I just,
A lot of
we
Facebook,
used to, we
but
used to. No, I just don't like reporting on. We used to report on the tech world doing good things. We used to report on
yeah,
how we were making money, how how to use tech to advertise, to market, to get more attention. And I'm not saying we shouldn't report these stories. We really should. It's just it feels like a world that I helped build, that you helped build. Webcology was in this world at the very beginning, and seeing it degenerate to what we're about to report on is just is awful.
that's why it's important we report on it.
Well, I know it just doesn't make it any
No,
less awful. So
no, that's true.
this is about censorship, and it's not about how to say this minor censorship. This is about censorship of history, and one of America's noted historians. Heather Cox Richardson has been a noted historian for at least a half decade or more. Um, she's been a historian for decades, but she's been publishing in social media since the dawn of the first Trump presidency. And she writes about how the new face of the United States contrasts with the former face of the United States from what I would call a very progressive constitutionalist point of view. She's really into the Constitution. She's very, very
Yeah,
into the
I don't.
Constitution.
I wouldn't assign a political label to her. She's just very about what does the Constitution say and what does it mean, and
Yep.
yeah. So
So again, she's a history professor at Boston College. She's extremely well regarded, and she has now been kicked off of Facebook for the pe- crime of reporting a version of history that doesn't comport with the Trump administration's new versions of history. Would that be an accurate description, Christine?
Yeah, I mean, removing them for DEI, but I'm always a little when people think they've been targeted, often it's just a function of some sort of weirdness in the system. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be. It does seem to be that they're being targeted for content that is, quote, DEI related. For those who don't know, DEI, what is it? Uh,
Diversity, equity, and
diversity. Thank
inclusion.
you. Also refers to things like your veterans who need, assistance at jobs because they lost a limb. Like it's not based on, just being female or just some basic characteristics. It's a very complex
But
topic.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should ever have to qualify any individual's rights to have an
I
identity
agree.
as a person, whether they are
I
conforming
agree.
to a norm
Yeah,
or not. And I find this whole DEI argument offensive. Again,
it
the
is
idea
offensive.
that somebody has to
Yeah.
qualify themselves against being diverse, that there shouldn't be equity in our system, and that people should not be included is pervert. It's perverse to me.
No, I agree.
So
Totally, 100%.
she's being censored because her posts were related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I don't even
That's what.
understand. She's just talking about history.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what Grok. We'll be clear. That is what Grok told her. She didn't get an official. So, although Grok seems to be weirdly accurately honest more than the other large language models. So,
Phenomenally, actually.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah. You
But
know what?
I
Maybe he was being honest about free speech in one place.
yeah, I do know some others that have been having issues as well, though, that write about things and are very well known.
Yep.
And their posts have been disappearing as well. So anyway, I don't know that she has a resolution to it. Did she have a resolution? I didn't see one in the
No,
article, but I might have missed it.
there's no resolution, and if there is, she could be reinstated and then deinstated just as quickly. There's no
Yeah,
resolution until we get past this era of fear. Until we get past this era of fear and terror, people like Richardson are going to live in this weird information limbo where sometimes it'll be available, sometimes it won't. Maybe it'll be available to some people, not available to others. Who knows?
yeah. And again, we have to qualify this with it was from Grok. Other people got different responses, and we don't know for sure, but we do know other people are seeing these same patterns. And the posts deleted do seem to be related to the topic of DEI. So
But you know what? It doesn't matter why she was removed. She was removed.
right, but I'm
Period.
saying we just have to qualify it because it could be a programming glitch or something. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
So
well,
we,
I mean,
yeah,
the funny thing about coincidences in tech,
they're not
the
usually
biggest, the funniest
coincidences.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the whole thing. There aren't
yeah,
coincidences because this is the machine. Machines work the same way every time until something crimps in them, and that would be very coincidental that it went after um, Ms. Richardson and not others. You know,
yeah.
um,
And others that share DEI type materials found those posts removed too. So
okay, so. Ironically, Facebook has recently, in the FTC case we reported on earlier, um, Zuckerberg, in his testimony, told the court that Facebook is no longer about connecting with friends. In fact, it's
he says it's gone way down the engagement about connecting with friends, even though he just added back last week. We did a story on the ability to see just your friends. So yeah, Meta. Uh, it's part of the court case, the antitrust, and he was just saying that it's changed quite a bit, and that they're basically more into ads than they are your friends. So, which didn't help him in the court case whatsoever either.
well,
Oh,
in fact, just a couple of years, just a few years ago, apparently Zuckerberg was going to purge all friends lists for all users, just bring us back to day zero and make us decide what Facebook was supposed to be about.
I'm sorry, but like, what? I mean, like, was he in an altered state when he made this crazy thought? I mean, he literally wanted to take our friend list down to zero so we could rebuild them, create new engagement, and I don't know what else. It makes literally no sense. I mean, people would just leave. Are you going to rebuild your friend list, Jim, on Facebook?
No, I
Like,
won't rebuild my friend
no.
list on Facebook, but I just did it. I just did it on Blue Sky. I'm doing it currently on Slack, and I'm
Yeah,
doing it
but it takes a
currently on
while.
Discord.
But it takes a while, you know?
It takes a huge amount of time. Could I
Yeah,
replace what I have at Facebook? Probably not.
yeah.
That's like what, 15, 17 years of being present?
Yeah, and people just, you meet somewhere and you're like, oh, hey, do you want to join on Facebook? You know, things like that. And then their birthday comes around and you're like, who is this person? It's been
Well,
a
I
while.
I
But
desperately wish we had another utility. Um,
yeah, I do too. But nothing, there's nothing like Facebook, unfortunately.
no, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So Zuckerberg, by the way, this was in 2022 that Zuckerberg was talking about purging all
yeah.
users' friends lists. He didn't do it then. He probably won't do it now, but he did have that crazy idea then. And in 2025, there were way less guardrails over billionaires' behaviors than there was in 2022.
Yeah, I still don't think he's going to take it, but this is also part of the testimony in the court case.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, Georgetown University has revived a tool that went dead earlier. I'm sorry, late last year. Called True Media. It's a deep fake detection tool, and well, hopefully it will help um weed out really poor quality text, image, audio, or other AI-esque creations. Not that there's anything wrong with AI-esque creations, but the ability to know the difference between real creative work and AI'd work is quite important, especially when it comes to imagery.
yeah, very true. And this story is from GeekWire, and the really nice thing about it is it was an open source tool that basically just ran out of funding, and Georgetown University is going to take it over. They're going to use their students. They're going to use their, their own funding and models to bring it back online for people to use as the function of the university, which will help keep it a bit honest. So I like that.
Well, not only that, it'll keep it running. Georgetown
Yes,
has a deep endowment, and
today.
uh, hopefully it'll be able to run long into the future again, especially around the deep faking and imagery. Uh, uh, a picture still says 1,000 words. It's just often the wrong words because the image wasn't real to begin with.
Yeah, very true.
So Bing AI doing its thing is copying Google to uh, uh, so to self-reference its own search results within its I guess Copilot generated AI result sets. So yeah, I'm not sure where to go past that story, except this is what gets you guys in trouble.
Yeah. By the way, Bing, if you're listening, can I say it loud? Make sure they are.
They
Bing,
are.
we like the changes you were making. We don't like the changes that Google is making often. Please don't keep copying Google. Also, linking to more search results from a snippet is kind of a way to keep people off the publisher's pages that you trained on. And we took Google for task for it, and you know, it'll be
Well,
same
and
for you.
please
Please stop
remember,
copying them. You had a good product we liked. It's going in the right direction. Suddenly you're copying Google all the time. Google's not winning. They've lost share twice, two
also,
quarters. Yeah.
please review the story we reported on several stories ago about these antitrust cases. This
Yeah.
is how it starts, people. You're at
Yeah,
day
because they,
one. Honest to goodness, this is day one of the new era. What are you doing?
yeah, stop copying Google.
Okay, so Google's experimenting with even more shopping carousels, this time showing products, and then the articles recommending those products. Uh, 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 I guess that well, it's like product carousel listicles.
Yeah. Oh, it's even worse than that. It's like a picture of the product and then the name of the product and then the pricing of the product and then one of the stores and more, and then the rating of the product, and the number of people who rated it, and then recommended with a bunch of little icons. And it was recommended by, in this case, Good Housekeeping Plus Two, in a very narrow, probably about 100 pixel wide window, 125 pixel wide, and then a multiple of them in a carousel. Google has never
Oh,
met something it doesn't want to add to the page. My big recommendation to Google would be find an editor for your pages. Like,
okay.
okay, it might be interesting, but do I need it when I'm trying to like? I need that in the detailed maybe. Detail I could see, but in the top search page, the page is just so much clutter. It's hard to understand what you're looking at this point, to be honest. So,
But you
and
know
then,
what?
what's that? Go ahead.
The beauty thing about this story is it does segue right beautifully into the structured data story we have coming up next because it's a great illustration of structured data will not make you rank better, but it might make you appear in search results in different sorts of ways.
Yeah,
So,
for the
oh,
for
sorry.
the features, for the features, for Google's features that are based on schema. So if you don't know all Google features, like when you're planning a website or a new section or even a page, go to Google's documentation on schema features, and then find out which ones get you placements like reviews and in carousels like that. So
John Mueller had to go on this time on Blue Sky because he's not posting to Twixter anymore, um, and explain again that structured data will not make your site rank better, which is total truth. Structured data does not make your site rank better. What it
yeah,
does do is make your site more visible to other Google features that might bring you more visibility in other parts of search results, such as carousels or
preview snippets,
preview snippets, ratings that are appearing
videos.
under. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're ranking better. That's not doesn't make you go from 3 to 2 or from position 6 to position 3. It doesn't happen that way. It just makes you more accessible.
I have a little caveat to that though.
Mhm.
It is not a ranking signal, that is for sure. But people sometimes notice their rankings go up after they've changed like their schema or put in schema for the first time. And they're like, well, but if it's not a ranking signal, how does that happen? What happens is the machine learning better understands what your page is about and it makes it easier for Google. And anything you feed to the beast there can help your rankings appear better without touching your ranking signal.
Yeah, and this
So
and
when
this is why we harp on technical SEO over and over and
yeah,
over again. This is exactly why.
exactly, because it's not a ranking signal, so you don't like that's what John's saying. It's not a ranking signal, which means it doesn't, by just its nature being there, and help you rank better. But schema helps the machine learning that Google uses to understand websites, understand that this is the time of your recipe, these are the ingredients. So it makes it much faster for it, and it makes it much easier for it to understand the page. And so when it is returning for a query, it might return yours more often just because it's not trying to guess what you're answering. It understands what you're answering because you've told it, I have a recipe and here's the time and here's the ingredients and here's how long you cook it and et cetera, et cetera.
So to reiterate, just to be sure you all get this, schema good, not ranking
Yeah, schema
signal,
always good. Yes,
but really, really, really freaking useful for visibility.
yes, definitely.
Okay, this one. What do you
Oh
do?
my
What do you
God.
do? What do you? So I'm at this public event last night, okay, and there was people giving speeches to a room full of people, and I'm sitting near the back, and there's a woman playing with her mobile device right beside me, and this mobile device every once in a while she was like looking at TikTok videos or something, and there
Yeah,
was just sudden noise. Okay, so
yeah,
you're looking through search results. You're you want to buy, I don't know, something important like a pizza or something, and suddenly advertisements start playing, really video advertisements start playing really loud beside you because you're looking for a pizza. Wouldn't that annoy you? It would annoy me.
yes. Fortunately, these ones don't have audio, but it's a playable video in the shopping cart block. Oh, yeah, you're right. There's an audio. I'm sorry. There is a video with audio.
Oh,
I missed
of
that.
course there's audio. What's the point of video if there's no audio? You got to
Yeah.
really annoy people.
So you
I mean,
hover
I get their
over
attention. Sorry.
It's okay. You hover over a shopping product. I'm not sure that you can what you do in on mobile because you can't hover in mobile. Probably click or press. And then it animates a video about the product because I needed more clutter in my search results. So
Just give me my
anyway,
damn
yeah.
pizza.
Google, get an editor, please. Just
Yeah, okay, so Google,
editor.
this is an experiment Google's running. This, I don't know, it's probably gonna stick, but you may see it
Uh,
in a card when when you're using Google Shopping. It may be useful in some instances, but it just seems like overkill annoyance to me.
yeah, same here. Especially if it's on a phone.
We're getting so old, aren't we? God.
No.
Okay.
No, I don't know anybody that wants this much clutter on a page. I designed front ends for many, many years. Simplification is where you get your best uplift. When you have this much on a page, the eye doesn't know what to focus on or what it's supposed to interact with. So then it's like, it becomes like dumb. Like the Braves is like, I'm turning off. I can't. Which probably explains why they're down 2 quarters in a row. They just have more ads because people are doing more queries. So no one's, called them out on it because they're still making a lot of money and making more money, but their actual users have decreased. So, and not
Okay.
because of ChatGPT or anything like that, just in general, they've gone all the places.
So this one is kind of interesting. So country level, top level domains are at Google are possibly going away. Like I go to google.ca. Friends of ours in the UK go to google.co.uk. Americans go to google.com. In Germany, it's google.gr,
No,
etc.
D,
Or
in a DE?
sorry, google.de, etc.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Google.fr in France. Those are all going to be gone soon. It's all going to go, everything's going to redirect to google.com. Now, Google still knows where you are, and Google will still favor your local-esque results, but there won't be a clear indication you're at the UK version of Google, the Canadian version of Google, or the American version of Google, because it'll all be google.com.
Yeah, which will make it harder for people in other countries to track where their traffic is coming from. So you definitely want to make sure you set up events and methods of tracking. So you know that it's coming because in some countries you may have traffic from multiple countries, and you want to know that the users are coming from which country. I love one of the comments. By the way, this is an SE Roundtable story. How to annoy UK expats during Christmas shopping.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Well, how to say this? For marketers, for people on our side of the fence, you should still be able to see the nations, regions, and cities that people searched from in the demographic section of GA4. That information is all still available in GA4. Um, and I don't think that's dependent on top level domain. But to your second point, Christine, you're absolutely right. People who want to do a search specifically in France, specifically in the UK, I'm sure there's going to be some operator or some way you can inform Google you want to search in the UK, probably by writing UK results only or something like that. But it's so much easier going to just .co.uk, would it not be?
Yeah, exactly. And I'll tell you, Google is, I know they say they're really much better, maybe they are about knowing the difference. But still, sometimes when I use a language in a search, like for an item that has a, French name or an Italian name, I start getting all French or Italian results. So it could get frustrating that way.
You know what?
Eh,
We'll have to see how this works. I'm having a hard time believing they're doing this. I mean, they say they're doing it. I
I'm
believe they're
not,
doing it. I
yeah,
just don't believe they're doing it. You know what I
because
mean?
it, yeah, because they used to do things that made a lot of sense, and this doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, unless it's to deal with the antitrust or something like that. I would say if you're international SEO and you're like, oh my gosh, what is this going to do to me? Google says absolutely nothing. This is them condensing uh, their URLs that you shouldn't be concerned. Nothing's changed with international SEO. You still have to use hrefs. CCTLDs are still being used. This is just Google making its own change. What John said on Mastodon is nothing has fundamentally changed, but it's important to remember the redirects are just one part of what goes into canonicalization. It's good to be consistent. Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead of a story there.
Um,
But it basically that's about how they're interacting with it. But he says, and I wouldn't recommend using Google's domains as a model that anyone else should copy for SEO purposes. Big companies have very unique quirks which aren't usually SEO tricks.
yeah, I'm curious why
Yeah.
there's a technical reason they're doing this. I'm curious what that is. Obviously it's for the betterment of Google itself,
Yeah,
but
we'll find out at some point. But yeah, right now this is
it'll
not an international SEO change. This is just Google internally has a motivation for consolidating all their URLs into one.com.
well, again, that'll be really interesting to find out why they decided to do that. Okay, there's a new version of Google Ads API. We're now on version 19.1. There's new features. Nothing's
You
left
get
it.
Yeah. Everyone's just gonna have to go read about it though. I mean, we'd spend half an hour on
Incredibly
today.
dense,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
update your APIs if you're using Google Ads.
And Search Engine Roundtable has a story on it. Google Ads API version 19.1 now available. So you can look all the information there. Barry always does a good job of summarizing.
Okay, we are so rounding the corner into fast stories.
We are. So where are we starting?
At the very
Uh
top.
yeah, sure. Google is advertising Google Ads personalized boost ad performance email, which sounds a little convoluted. It really isn't that big of a deal. Google is sending personalized info like emailers to you that says they've created a step-by-step guide for your account. In the next 3 months, you'll get weekly emails on the most important actions to take next and track your performance. Basically, it's how they want you to do your ads. If you're not doing ads, you'll probably find this really helpful. If you already do ads, I can already hear the people's voices in my head, and I will not repeat what they're saying. So, because they keep trying to push Google, add people to do it the way Google wants, and that often results, from what I understand from people who do it, in higher costs and more spend, of course. It helps Google. So, but if you're new to it or you need some assistance, you're not really sure where you're stuck, this looks like it could be a very good tool. It's an actual email that shows you that you're going to have like check marks where you check things off that you've done it. It tells you you've completed it, things are in progress, so that yours will be improved. Your ads will be improved.
This is kind of cool. Google is testing a new label in search results. So if you got a new page, a new result, it might say new beside it, indicating it's a new thing. That's kind of neat.
Yes. Yeah, mostly it's for news, I think, but
Yeah,
they
yeah,
can't
yeah.
do it for anything. Yeah, they can't do it for anything, no.
But for something
So
that's really timely like news, I can see this being really useful.
sure, definitely. We don't know what the time frame for new is, so that would be helpful. But yeah, I agree. You know, it'd be good to know something that's new in the search results.
Okay. So you ever want to share a AI result with somebody, but of course you can't.
AI mode. AI mode.
In the near future, you may be able to in Google AI mode. At least according to Robbie Stein, VP of Product at Google Search.
And that's it. I don't think I have anything to add to
Yeah. Well,
that.
yeah, so that ability may be coming soon.
And then on more in AI mode, Google has added a shortcut in the search bar to AI mode. So they guess they really want you to use AI mode. So
Aren't you
it is.
always? I mean, when are you not in AI mode? That's what I don't
Oh,
understand.
I'm never in AI mode.
Okay, oh, that's what you think.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. No, I don't trust it, so I don't use it. I mean, occasionally I'll read an AI overview, but since the amount of times I've been wrong, I don't trust it. Plus, I need to do when I do research, I want to research it myself, so I know where I got the idea for everything and how it comes together. So,
Well, again, I
uh,
think that there's so much AI is going into the background of our searches to begin with. Like honestly, I think I can still make
but
the
they're
smart ass quip and be accurate at the same time. When are you not in AI mode?
exactly, but they're not writing it in
Yeah,
my regular search. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, they write parts actually, but they don't write all of it. So, okay. Google ask a follow-up search box. The Google Ask a Follow-up is the one when it's like you get to the end of something and it's like, hey, would you like to have more questions? And it's just more search results
Yeah, I'm
in
wondering,
Gemini.
is this a real feature or is this just a way to create more real estate? You know? Honestly, I'm not sure their intention here. If it's really a good thing, or honestly, are they just making us do one more search to put 10 more ads on?
Oh, definitely. Um, they're generating more queries. And what did Sundar say? The goal
It's
of
a
Google was?
successful revenue model. Oh, he
Yes,
didn't say that out loud, but that's what he meant.
yes, yeah. You drive as many queries as possible. I find it infinitely frustrating because I just want a result that's like factual and I can't get to it because I have all these features now. So, and other
Oh,
people may not feel like I do. I'm in there a lot. So I just may have a lot of exposure to it. So it's like, okay, this looked cool at first. Not so much now. And then we have a Bing quick story. Bing is adding related searches with trending icons that look like the little squiggly line going up with the arrow on it. So when you do a Bing search on the side, they'll show you that they have more searches related to that search. And I actually like how Bing does it better because they remove it from their main search result and they push it off to the side. So it's like Google, that last story we did and this one aren't that different. It's trends, of course, but in Google. But at least it's not in the middle of the page, and there's not like five of them in the page, right? It's like one and it's to the side, or two and it's to the side, and then I can read the page, and then I can go look at other results if I want to. Because often I
yep,
hit those by accident, thinking there's something else. I like actually going to take me to a page and or to a similar search result, and I wind up like down the path I didn't mean to go down. And I'm like, why am I getting these results? And you're like, oh, because I changed the search query. I didn't realize it.
yeah, yeah. And then a
So
half hour later, for sure, for sure. As long as
yeah.
it's ancillary information and not central, then it's cool. I think then it's probably helpful. But
Yeah.
if it becomes central to my information journey, then you're right. It may well be distracting.
Yeah. It's just the design of the page. It's a similar function. But the design of the page makes it less cluttery for me and much easier to work with.
I swear to God, we need to I mean, she's not even dead yet, but we still need to revive the ghost of Marissa Mayer and bring her back to tack to it. Just to oversimplify everything again.
Oh, right. They need editor, page editors. So yeah, we've come, as you would say, we've come full clock. I will let you take it from
Yeah,
there.
we've gone full clock. We've gone all the way around the circle. It's been an hour and then some, but most importantly, we've gone through all the stories we got to report this week. That was this episode was a mouthful. Yeah, this the tech world is getting strange. I don't know how else to put it. But it's still a space where we're able to move product and move ideas, and more importantly, serve our clients in search.
And there you
But yeah,
go.
the tech world's getting weird. Gosh.
Yeah, it's too many billionaires running it. And I don't mean that as like dig on billionaires. I just mean when you have that many people who don't have to answer to anybody and are not accountable most of the time because they have so much money, then every idea in their head becomes a reality, or they think about making it a reality, like getting rid of all your Facebook friends. And that makes things weird. Because if you
Yeah.
don't have checks and balances on your ideas, right? Like you and I definitely have some arguments about things, but it's still a check in and balance on what we think. And when you're at a place in the world where you don't have those checks and balances on your own ideas, because you have a lot of yes people around you, or you have so much money it can't affect you, I think that it makes things weird because
Yeah.
the internal placement of people's heads without somebody going, "Hey, dude, that's probably not a great idea." So I
Welcome to the
think
beginning of the second quarter of 2025.
exactly.
Okay, friends, you have been listening to Webcology here on WMR.FM. It is the 17th of April, 2025. This has been Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, Christine Schackinger from Sites Without Walls. It's a really crazy time. People are impatient with each other. Hell, people are impatient with themselves these days. So give people some slack. Let them talk. Listen to them. Hopefully, they'll listen to you. Be well, rank well, treat yourselves well, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, everybody.